try to keep me down. They try to keep me down.
Does anybody ever get you in the gut as hard as they can? That's what that feels like.
Welcome, race fans, to Dover's Monster Mile. Like the name says, it is 1 mile of high-bank, high-speed concrete. The next time we come back here, it will be the chase. But today, it is the scene of race number 12 of the 2010 season. The gang is all here, so everybody get ready. Fasten your seatbelts. It is time for race day. Dover, Delaware is the capital of the first state and the home of 2 events on the Sprint Cup Series schedule. The track that is known as the Monster Mile, and it lives up to that nickname by chewing up race cars and spitting them out. Right now, the hottest driver on the series is driver number 11, Denny Hamlin. He's the most recent winner after conquering Darlington, a track that Jimmy Johnson just couldn't tame. But this here is the track that Johnson swept last season and should be considered one of his best. Your points leader, Kevin Harvick, will start towards the back of the field today, and he will have 400 miles of door-to-door racing to get to the front. When you take one look at Miles the Monster, you will see your subliminal message. He is one rough old boy, and we're going to be battling him for 400 miles today. So now, without further delay, let's get you inside the racetrack and join our good friends Wendy Venturini and Hermie Sadler.
Good morning, Johnny. Yes, Hermie Sadler and I are positioned right above Victory Lane, and like you mentioned, it's the Monster Mile. Hermie, does that mean it really does chew you up and spit you out here?
Well, you know, it's a good point, but this is a very physically and mentally demanding racetrack. 400 laps, 400 miles here at Dover, some of the toughest on the circuit for man and machine. A lot of opportunities to make mistakes today.
And our points leader coming into this event was Kevin Harvick, still Jimmy Johnson in second. If we take a look on 1st through 20th, I think the big mover lately in the last 2 weeks, 6 spots in 2 weeks, has been Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, but Wendy, our points contenders have varying results here at Dover. Kevin Harvick, his average finish here, 18. Denny Hamlin, as JR said, the hottest man in the business, his average finish here at Dover, 25th.
And if we take a look on back to 20th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in the top 12.
Yeah, look at Carl Edwards. He's back inside the top 12. His average finish here is 8. And Clint Boyer has finished 8th here 3 different times. So a lot of opportunity to see some points moving up and down today.
Jamie McMurray had moved up 3 spots, and you've noticed Brian Vickers was 20th in points, have moved up 4 spots, but he will not be racing in today's race in Dover. He was admitted to the hospital earlier this week for blood clots in both his lungs and his legs. He was treated at Walter Reed Medical Center and has been released and is at home resting. However, he will not be in today's race, and we are not sure of his return back to the racetrack yet, but we do know that Casey Mears will be filling in for today for Brian Vickers. We are going to hear from Casey Mears later on in the show, as well as for more from Team Red Bull. Now, another story that we've been talking about here coming into Dover, Jimmy Johnson left Darlington with another DNF. That's 3 DNFs this season. It took him 89 races to have 3 DNFs before. This is something that's very uncommon for our 4-time champion.
Harvick joked around in California that you know, we have a horseshoe implanted in a certain area. That horseshoe fell out before the race started on Sunday last week, because I've never been in 4 wrecks and then have a guy with no brakes come in and T-bone me from the side. We're not where we want to be right now. We're still very competitive, and as I said earlier, not at a point where some of the headlines may read that we're not competitive, we're not in this thing. But you know, we got a little work to do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Even though we didn't finish the way we wanted to last week, the car was really good. You know, we felt like that we had a solid top 10 car. Definitely at Talladega, we had a top 5 car easy. So we've had great race cars. We've got a bunch of wins this year. So the team's really doing exactly what we need to do. It's just unfortunate we've had a couple of accidents we've got caught up into. So, you know, that happens. We've had that happen to us before in the past, and we've had to come back from it. I think it's just another little wave in the racing world. You know, it's going to be fine.
The way I look at it, our pit stops are better than they've ever been. Chad and I are working great together. We're trying to find some new speed for our race cars, and you know, it just takes a little bit of work. And where we're sitting now, second in the points, is far better than some seasons we've gotten off to, and you know, there's still a lot of racing left, and we'll be fine.
3 DNFs in the first 11 races of 2010. Does this mean anything, Hermie?
Yeah, I really think that talk about the demise of the 48 team is a little bit overrated, so to speak. But I look at it like if you're a basketball player and you're a 95% free throw shooter and you get up on the line, all of a sudden you miss a couple free throws, you're like, these normally go in. But all the 48 team has to do is do what they always do. Stay focused, run up front, and eventually, get back on track. And you got to remember, Wendy, the strength of the 48 team has always been at chase time when it counts. They've won 3 races, and they're second in points, but they would like to get today at Dover a good solid finish to kind of get back on track.
Not to assume there's any anti-Jimmy Johnson fans, but what do you think the fans think of this?
Well, how about last week at Darlington when Jimmy Johnson was taken out, the grandstands erupted in cheer, which I don't agree with it, but I understand it. The fans, if you're not a Jimmy Johnson fan, you're of the attitude right now, we want to see anybody but Jimmy win. But I think this 48 team, Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, will take that as a challenge, and they will still be the team to beat when it comes to crunch time.
And here we are, Johnny, talking about 3 DNFs for our 4-time champion. We can't forget, he's second in points.
And it is so early in this season right now. The chase is still 14 races away. Want to welcome in the rest of our race day team. It is Kyle Petty, also known as KP, and race car driver Kenny Wallace, driver number 28. How's it going, guys? Great crowd here at Dover, isn't it?
There are so many people here, I can't count them. But Miles the Monster, that signifies this racetrack. That old monster guy behind me, like you said, he chews them up and spits them out at this track.
Yeah, this racetrack puts the D in Dover because you better play some defense out there today. Let's take a lap around this place. And drivers, you explain to us exactly what's going on as you try to conquer this very fast, very high bank racetrack.
Here we go down the front straightaway. Now you see how black the racetrack is. This is a concrete racetrack, so when the tire wear goes down on it, Kyle Petty, the track turns from white to black.
And they went to concrete in '95, and this place has been all over. Used to, they run way up at the wall. Now they run on the bottom, but they'll move around on the racetrack. The tough part about this racetrack is it's totally banked. The straightaways are banked more than Richmond and some of the other racetracks we run. Then you get down in the corner, you run down in the corner, up out of the corner, so you're running uphill. It flattens out, if you want to call like 12 or 13 degrees flat, but it's a tough place.
But what I do like about Dover is it's a groovy racetrack. The bottom is the fastest way. But boy, when them tires start wearing out, up the hill we go, 2-3 wide racing.
And the width of this racetrack is a little bit deceptive, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's wide, but you don't want to use that whole thing. You want to use where the black is.
Yeah, and when you see an accident here, this place to me was always a big Bristol. Bristol's a half mile. You see how quick things happen. Things happen really quick here, and it's a self-cleaning racetrack. And that's a stupid saying, let me say that. But what it means is, if it goes up, it's going to come down. It's just gravity. And when a guy spins, chances are he's going to come down off the bank, into the inside wall, whether it's on the straightaway or whether it's in the corner.
This is the only racetrack we go to where when you go down the straightaway, it feels like you're in the corner. That's why the wrecks are big here. The straightaways are banked like the corners.
Well, he is simply known as the King, an endearing image that means NASCAR to fans all over the world. When we come back, we'll talk about the King of NASCAR and his place in the Hall of Fame. Stay with us, everyone. NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot, and we're coming to you live from the Monster Mile at Dover.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by the General Automobile Insurance Services. For the best car insurance rates in town, call 1-800-GENERAL now. And by Honda Generators, the power of choice.
Next Sunday, live from Charlotte, North Carolina, don't miss an epic television event for the ages when Bill France Sr., Bill France Jr., Richard Petty, Jr. Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt rightfully take their place as the first inductees into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Live coverage begins next Sunday at noon Eastern, exclusively on Speed. And if you missed this on Tuesday, it was a sight to be seen. The grand opening of the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. Some of the greatest names ever in NASCAR and the people who were instrumental in bringing the building to the Queen City of the South saw an unveiling of an absolutely incredible building, and also some of the greatest names ever in NASCAR as Richard Petty and Junior Johnson made their way in, but the guy who led the way also leads the class of the first 5 inductees. He is simply known as the King.
Lee Petty, 3 times NASCAR national champion, has retired from driving, not racing. He's crew chief for his son, Richard, who has taken over the wheel.
I don't feel like now that I've got to prove to anybody, not special to myself, that I was a pretty good driver back then, and then have somebody in your own family come along is good. Or, in fact, I classify him a lot better driver than I ever would.
My dad had retired from driving, but he was still definitely the boss of the team. And then I had to learn a lot behind the wheel, and we were just starting to run much better. We could win just about anywhere except on the big tracks.
Richard Petty, the Plymouth pilot, who has won everything but a big track race. Why?
Well, I've had real good luck. Now, you can't say I hadn't had good luck, but I just hadn't got the right brakes to win a big race. I've been close, but that don't pay quite as much as it does to win the race.
Then in '64, Chrysler came out with the racing Hemi. And once we got the Hemi, we had as much power as anybody. But when we got to Daytona in February for the 500, I had to figure out how to drive the dadgum thing.
The Plymouths and Dodges have special engines, hemispherical combustion chamber jobs, putting out over 500 horsepower.
You know, it was so much faster than anything we'd ever had. And you got to figure, these cars were still pretty stock. And we just had a regular seat in the car. We took the back off the right side. And the only thing we had in the car then was a seat belt. And then we had a bar beside of us to keep our butt from sliding over in the seat. That was it. And I go down in the corner and I turn the car. And once I made the turn, I couldn't turn it anymore. You know what I mean? And so I never could run wide open with a car. One night, me and Dale was just talking. I said, you know, maybe when I'm going in the corner, I'm leaning over in the car and holding on to the steering wheel, and then I got no strength to turn the thing. And I said, I think if I can run out wide open, we can really run fast. Dale said, how fast can we run if we run wide open? So we come back in the next day, got us a 2x4, wrapped the thing with an old Army blanket we had, put a couple of long 1/4-inch bolts in and just bolted it to the back of the seat. So I go out there, and first lap I go down, and the car just turns so easy. Picked up like 3 or 4 miles an hour, I think.
Richard drops into a corner wide open and turns the fastest laps ever run at Daytona in a stock car. The competition is worried, but not Lee. 174.5 miles per hour in a '64 Plymouth.
I think Richard's a real good driver. In fact, he follows sort of in the suit what I have done before, and when he gets out on the track, he sort of uses his head, and I think it's the time they run this speed, he should be able to use his head because they run up to 170 to 75 miles an hour, and it's sort of up to him to be able to control his own speed and whatnot on the racetrack.
It's the 6th annual Daytona 500. The largest crowd ever to watch a sports event in the state of Florida has gathered here today to watch the world's fastest automobile race. This is truly the international center of racing in the world today. And Petty is still turning laps at a better than 170 miles an hour, so he hasn't let off the gas one single bit. He wants to win this race and win it big. From Randleman, North Carolina, he's married, he has 2 children. He was second in point standings last year, a very consistent driver, but that big one has always eluded him. And there's the checkered flag for Richard Petty, the winner of the 6th annual Daytona 500.
Richard, how long have you been in this racing business?
About 5 years now.
This your biggest victory?
This is it. This is the first time I ever won on a major speedway.
Now, your father was a champion before you. How much longer are you going to be in this business?
Well, I guess from now on, just like he is.
You've got $30,000 coming to you. Do you have any idea of how it's going to be spent?
Well, it'll go for some more cars, I imagine. Being they run that good, we ought to get a couple more.
You know, it's funny that Father Economaki asked the King how long he was going to be around in this business because he's still here every weekend. You see the image, the sunglasses and the hat, walking around the garage. And Kyle, you were fortunate enough growing up to have a front row seat to this whole thing, but it was not necessarily what he did on the racetrack with a mere 200 victories. It was the way he treated the fans and the way he set the bar.
Yeah, and to go back, regress 1 minute there. That's 1964. Economaki asked him how long he was going to be around. He was around for 30 more years as a driver. Yeah, that was a great question. But you know, I think when you look at at the 200 wins and the championships and all that stuff, that's one side of Richard Petty. I think Richard Petty was like the first superstar this sport had, the first media star, the first star for the fans. You know, there were plenty of great drivers, David Pearson, Bobby Allison, Buddy Baker, guys like that, incredibly great drivers. But Richard Petty saw the fan as who he really was. I mean, and that's what he always kind of stressed to us was, you know, we're very, very fortunate, very blessed to be able to drive a race car. We could be sitting in the 4th row or the 5th row watching this thing, and believe me, Richard Petty would have bought a ticket and watched it.
And it was that thought process that got us to the point where today, I mean, could you imagine before the Super Bowl walking up to one of the NFL players and just hanging out with him, getting an autograph before he jumps in the car? Well, the Daytona 500 driver, you can do that as a fan.
You know what Richard Petty taught me? Kenny, you sign all those autographs. Those fans are what makes the sport. Richard Petty was the first driver to recognize that without the fans, we don't have a sport. He passed that down on to a lot of other drivers, but specifically me. I make sure I sign all these fans out here doing commercial breaks. Thank to you, Richard Petty. But I want to say this. Every superstar in any type of sport has a gig. You know, the Fonz, hey, you know, he had his leather jacket. James Dean had his white T-shirt. And the great Dale Earnhardt had those gargoyle sunglasses and that old mustache and that old, you know, grin he always had. Richard Petty, he found it. That cowboy hat, those sunglasses. I said this week on Twitter, I said what was great about Richard Petty is he looked cool all the time. He's definitely a superstar and backed it up with 200 wins. He had everything going for him.
Yeah. And it's a heck of a thing to be cool when you're over 70, right?
Yeah, it is. It's tough to
still is cool.
You know, I think his legacy is exactly what Kenny says. You know, you talk about what was his impact on the sport. His impact is still here. His impact is Dale Earnhardt, winning championships, signing autographs, being a driver of the fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of the fans out there. You look at Jeff, you look at Jimmy, you look at Tony, you look at these guys that come along. You know, they've continued that same cycle that the King and those guys started so many years ago. It's truly amazing when you look. You know, it's really easy to watch drivers come along. They win races, they have success, and you think, man, I can get real haughty, I can get real arrogant, I can just jump in a plane, fly out of here. I don't have to do anything. But these drivers still want to reach out and touch fans.
Richard Petty had a quote that I've never told anybody this, and I've had a lot of quotes from great drivers like Dale Earnhardt. Richard Petty did a Goody's commercial, Goody's headache powder. And in the commercial, he says, you can't get upset over one bad race or one bad year. I tell you what, I would let one bad race eat me up. And I heard that commercial and I thought how true that is, because you have to go to the next race. Richard Petty taught me something that I could have never known without that quote.
And I'm going to say one other thing. Those guys were racers then. And that one quote after the Daytona 500 pretty much says, it says, Richard, you just won $30,000. What are you going to do? He's like, I guess I'll buy me a couple more race cars. How many drivers you see get out today say, I'm going to get me another race car. I won so much money
I'm going to get me another airplane.
I need more.
Exactly. If there was no King, there would be no NASCAR as we know it today. Race fans on the East Coast, we hope you are up and at 'em. On the West Coast, we hope you're just enjoying your coffee, being with us here on NASCAR Race Day. We'll be back with more from the Monster Mile in a moment. Just down Route 1 from Dover Downs is Rehoboth Beach. It's a frequent summer vacation destination for residents as well as visitors from Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. The vacationers are drawn for many reasons, including the town's charm, its artistic appeal, and nightlife. It is a great place to take in a little bit of beach activity before coming up the road to checking out the stars of NASCAR on the Monster Mile here at Dover. Now, the Sprint Showdown is not going to be any day at the beach. Look at the kind of drivers who are in this thing. You know, the Showdown is how you get into the All-Star race by winning it. Look at the number of wins that these guys have that are going to be racing in this race.
Are you kidding me? Carl Edwards 2 years ago won 8 races, and he's not in the big one?
You look at that. There's 100-plus Cup Series wins right there, and these guys are struggling to get in to the All-Star race. They're all All-Stars. Let's be honest about that.
Juan Pablo Montoya, one of the greatest drivers in the history of modern auto racing. He won, you know, Monaco, and he's not in this race.
But he has a way to get in.
He can win today.
He can win today. He can win the Showdown, and he can also win the fan vote as well. And Kenny Wallace, you were lucky enough to win the fan vote once.
Well, I followed up with Kyle Petty. I want to thank all you fans for participating in the fan vote. It was Casey Kane that legitimized the All-Star fan vote because he did not even make the race. He qualified 6th in the Showdown, and he went on to win it all. So the fan vote is for real. Make sure you vote your favorite driver in.
Yeah, and let's be honest, that's what the All-Star race is all about, and the All-Star event is all about. It's just for these people. It's not for the competitors. You know, they make a big deal about, you know, all the things that go on over there in the race and how much the race pays, but really the whole idea and everything behind it was for the fans. It was to say thank you for being fans of this sport. We're going to show you our best of the best, and we're going to put on a show. And they've put on shows through the years over.
My gosh, I'm going to tell you what. You were involved in one of the greatest finishes ever. Earnhardt.
But it doesn't count. I finished second.
It was big. It was big.
And we know how Kyle feels about the guys who finished second. And we needn't remind you, unless you haven't paid attention at all, this thing is going to be live on Speed next Saturday night. Now, if you want to get involved with this as a fan, text your vote, text VOTE or NASCAR to 7777 on your Sprint phone. Visit NASCAR.com or visit the Sprint Experience at Sprint Cup Races, and you can have your say. You may even vote in the next winner of this race. He gets $1 million, and among other people, he is going to be very happy on Sunday the 23rd. We got to take another quick break here on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. But when we come back to the Monster Mile, we will have more on the Brian Vickers situation and other news from the garage.
Talk about an underdog. Back in '86, Morgan outran everyone to the finish and didn't let the Intimidator push him around.
He was one of the best drivers out there in that time period. He certainly was.
We'll look back at the last time an unsponsored car took Cup Series checkered.
For an independent to come in, like in my day or in Morgan's day, on shoestring budgets, and it was just a heck of a race there at the end.
Around the Turn, NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot.
Wednesday night, NASCAR's best pit crews get their chance to shine in the NASCAR Sprint Pit Crew Challenge. The competition will be intense with pride and cash on the line. Don't miss the NASCAR Sprint Pit Crew Challenge Wednesday night at 9 Eastern, part of All-Star Week on Speed. We talked just a moment ago about an enduring image in NASCAR, that being Richard Petty. But how about Morgan Shepherd? In his mid-60s, still racing in the Nationwide Series, Morgan put his impact on the Cup Series with 4 wins. Let's take a look back at his history.
Driving the Jack Beebe Race Hill Farm Buick, only his 3rd race in that car, Morgan Shepherd.
What Jack Beebe did in giving Morgan Shepherd a ride there, and what Morgan was able to do, I mean, back in the day, you could run off of your race winnings and actually compete and race, and that's what Jack Beebe was trying to do.
Jack Beebe was on his way out of racing, and he told me he wasn't going to probably run the whole year or whatever. So he gave me a chance to get in the car, and we go to Atlanta, qualified 3rd, and was a contender all day long.
There is a look at Shepherd in the yellow and white car, number 47. He's never won a super speedway stock car racing event.
I was there that day. I remember that. And he was a take-no-prisoners kind of driver. He would race you as hard as he could for 18th, just like he was racing you for the lead.
But look at Morgan Shepherd fighting back. There's Richmond sliding a little bit. This is a classic battle between these two men.
He never had the opportunity of having the great equipment like a lot of drivers did. He would have won a lot more races.
Here in this area, there is not a large crowd. There are no uniforms. Morgan Shepherd's car is unsponsored, and in this sport which relies so heavily on sponsors, it is very, very unusual.
Could it be that Morgan Shepherd, at age 44, is going to win his first super speedway race ever?
You see this happen over and over. The guy leads all day long or whatever, and caution comes out, and next thing you know, the fastest car didn't win the race.
Kyle Petty has crashed into the turn 2 wall. It's going to bring out the yellow.
Bad break for Morgan Shepherd, though. They're going to bunch up again under the yellow, and he's going to lose that working margin that he had over Bill Elliott.
Yes, and he was starting to pull ahead.
I had a shot at winning this race, and here I am leading it. I thought it was over right there.
It is Morgan Shepherd, car number 47. Behind him, Dale Earnhardt, and that is perhaps the one man he would least have wanted to race with.
Dale and I had a little thing going. He did spin me out one time, and of course I did spin him out, and I made it clear to him that if you ever touch my car, I promise you, I'll hang you on the wall every time I get to you. And so we kind of had that understanding, really didn't have many problems.
There will be 2 laps to go. Earnhardt is right there on Morgan Shepherd's rear bumper. The only question, when will Earnhardt make his move, and can he get by?
He held off one of the toughest guys in the business. Morgan is hard to get around on a racetrack and pass. with equipment that wasn't as high caliber. And part of that is because I think those guys were so used to having to scratch and claw for every nickel and every dime that they just weren't wasting anything. They were going to get everything they could out of it, and they did.
Shepherding an unsponsored car running a limited schedule played David to everyone else's Goliath. Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, and Elliott were next across the line.
I can remember the last 3 laps of the race. I could not see where I was going. I was just tears coming in my eyes, and you can't reach up and wipe because you got your shield and full face on. But it was just really great.
It's been a long time coming. I tell you, I just can't hardly talk. I'd like to thank God, thank Jack Beebe for giving me the opportunity, and Jake Elder for being such a good chassis man.
Today I look back on his career, and Morgan, he could take lesser equipment and get around it and win with it. But the day that he beat Dale, it was just a heck of a race there at the end, and Morgan ended up winning the race, beating a lot of good, solid teams.
At that age, I thought I was on my way out of racing, and all of a sudden, my stock went up at 47 years old.
This is exciting. This could very well be the beginning of a real leap forward for Morgan Shepherd in terms of his career.
Of course, then that carried me on to the Quaker State team and Valvoline and Bud Moore and the Woods Brothers, and still won a couple more races after that at Atlanta.
In Morgan Shepherd's Cup career, he won 4 total races, 3 at Atlanta and 1 at Martinsville, and also he was an accomplished roller skater, KP. Roller skater up and down the road, still.
But I want to tell you something. When he won one of his first races at Martinsville, he came up there in Cliff Stewart's car and kicked everybody's butt. Everybody was like, where did this guy come from? But he had run at Hickory against Morgan, or against Harry Gant. And the interesting part about that race right there was that's not the first time, just as Morgan said, that he and Earnhardt had gone door to door and bumper to bumper. They had a long history because they ran what was then the Late Model Series, which was now became the Busch Series, now the Nationwide Series. So Morgan has always been a phenomenal talent in a race car, and just like they said, could take less and do more with it.
And what he's doing right now, Kenny, to still stay alive in the Nationwide Series, still coming every weekend, still competing in his mid-60s is great.
Well, that's what Morgan Shepherd knows how to do. He's a race car driver. In other words, he doesn't know how to make a living doing anything else. Morgan Shepherd is one of my heroes, race fans. But I want to say how much this sport has changed. If you remember, Morgan Shepherd said, I was 47 years old when I won that race and got on to race, much longer. To say nowadays, I'm only 46, and I'm like, I'm not ready to quit. I'm young. Nowadays, if you say you're 47 years old, you won your first Cup race, it'd be a phenomenon. Back then, they raced, up until well in the 50s.
So by Morgan Shepherd standards, Kenny Wallace could race 20 more years, right?
Harry Gant was like, what, 52 years old winning races?
150.
Mark Martin is now 51 years old.
And I want to tell you something. Morgan Shepherd, I'm going to say this about Morgan. He was the very, very first guy to give back to the community. His charity work is phenomenal.
Well, there's one guy who was in the chase for the championship last year who is not with us here this weekend. We will have the latest on the condition of driver Brian Vickers when we come back to race day. The city of Dover is the capital and second largest city in the state of Delaware, which was the first state to secure ratification of the U.S. Constitution on December 7, 1787, making Delaware the first state to do so in the U.S. It is also the county seat of Kent County and the principal city of the Dover, Delaware area, which encompasses all of Kent County, and it is also the home of this racetrack here known as the Monster Mile. Scary bit of history there in Brian Vickers' racing career. Last week, as he was at Walter Reed Army Hospital, he felt sick, went to see the doctors. They diagnosed him as having blood clots in his lungs and his leg. The good news for Brian, though, is he is out of the hospital, back in Charlotte. And Brian, we wish you a very speedy recovery. Let's hear what team general manager Jay Fry had to say.
This past Wednesday, Brian was in Washington, D.C. preparing for his Thursday visit with Congressman Doc Hastings at the Walter Reed Medical Center. He was having some discomfort in his chest. With the encouragement of Dr. Jerry Petty, Brian went to an emergency room at a D.C. area hospital to get checked out. Numerous tests were conducted, including a CT scan. The scan discovered several blood clots in his veins, not his arteries. He was admitted Wednesday evening to the hospital. Currently, he's being given medication to dissolve the clots. He's been thoroughly tested and given a clean bill of health. The doctors are not sure what caused the clots or how it happened. We've been in constant contact with Brian. He's in great spirits and he's doing very well. And at this point, there's really no timetable for his return. One of the things we wanted to talk about too is in our press release yesterday, we said this is a minor setback. It is a minor setback in a young man's life in his career. Obviously, it's a major setback for our race team for this weekend. And again, with no timetable for his return, we're really not sure what the next steps are. But he's doing great. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew exactly what was going on with him. So we've got great reason for optimism that everything's going to be fine.
Well, that's Jay Friday in Media Center on Friday, and I'd have Casey Mears on the show filling in for Brian this weekend. First of all, Casey, thanks for joining us. And have you had a chance to talk to Brian? I know he was going back to North Carolina on Friday. Have you spoken to him? And how can you tell the fans he's doing as of today?
Yeah, I talked to him last night. I was going to talk to him again before we went to bed, but just missed him. I think he's probably a little tired just with everything that he's gone through. But he's doing well, actually. I mean, he's doing really well. I mean, outside of not being here and going through what he's going through, but I think that we'll find out more exactly what's going on, early next week, as to how long this process is going to take, and I just feel for him. Obviously being a close friend of his, I try to put myself in his shoes, and it's never fun to be in a position where you can't be at the racetrack. I've done it this year, not for health reasons, but just watching isn't any fun, and I know he's going to have a difficult time with that. But I'm happy to fill in for him, and obviously my job's to keep this thing as high up in the points as it possibly can. So when he returns, they got a good opportunity to finish off the season strong.
And talk about this weekend. You guys have been working on this race car pretty much non-stop since you've been here.
Yeah, I think that as from what I understand, Ryan and Brian had both kind of decided to come here with a package that they had tried at Bristol that worked well there, and it was quite a bit different than what they've ran in the past. So we struggled with it on Friday, and obviously didn't qualify well, but really made a huge rebound, I think, yesterday, getting the car really good for race trim. We had a hard time running a fast lap, but it was really good lap after lap over the long run. So real proud of what these guys have done. I mean, they changed everything on it, but like a right front spindle and the stickers on the car. So they worked real hard. They got the car a lot better, and hopefully have a good, solid day today.
And that's the consensus with this race team, JR, talking to them. A lot of uncertainty on Friday, but after happy hour yesterday, they said, look out for this car coming through the pack today with Casey Mears behind the wheel.
Hermie, thanks a lot. It's good to see Casey back at the racetrack, but we wish Brian a speedy recovery. Get well soon, Brian. We want to see you back at the track as well. Now, it's a big thing for a driver to jump into the seat of a race car. You guys have both done that before in a car you're not used to, but I think probably the biggest thing is this team was a championship contender last year, and this is going to definitely put it behind the 8 ball.
I want to make something very clear. This car that Casey Mears is getting in, the Brian Vickers car, is 26th in the points, over 200 points out of 12. So let's not put the spotlight on him like Casey Mears has got to rise to the occasion. This car that Brian Vickers has been driving is way buried in the points, so all Casey has to do is hold a pretty wheel, don't wreck it, just bring it home.
Yeah, and it is hard. Kenny got in a car for me. I broke my leg and back in the early 90s and had to sit out for 6 months, and Kenny runs from races. It's hard to go into that, and I think we heard Jay Fry say it. This is a minor setback for Brian, but it's a major setback for the team. This team has built themselves into a championship contender last year. Basically, they took themselves out of the chase, and they weren't close right now, but they've definitely taken themselves out. Now that group has to regroup. They have to rally around Casey, and they have to move forward, but they have to keep building this team. You can't just set back while Brian's sick and say, okay, we're not going to do anything. We had to continue when Kenny was driving this car to get better and better and take his input. And they can take Casey's input and make this a better team.
But I don't want to underestimate. Sometimes in sports we get wrapped up in competition, which is fair. But Brian Vickers, I mean, he has a blood clots, race fans. Let's let this guy sit out for a while. Car is 26 in the points, over 200 points. We want the car to do good, but let's remember, don't rush Brian Vickers back. Very serious blood clots. And we're talking very serious situation.
Yeah, his family, Clyde and Ramona and Brian, they're all in our thoughts right now. And just get back, man. We're looking forward to seeing you.
And we hope to see Brian back behind the wheel for the All-Star race. That is coming up very soon here on Speed. And you know what? This is such a special event. They paint the walls yellow. Kyle, how much paint does it take?
It takes enough paint for your hotel room, I guess, because you're thinking of these stupid questions.
Next Saturday night, the stars come out and the gloves come off for the NASCAR Sprint All-Star race on Speed. And with $1 million on the line, it's checkers or wreckers. It's Saturday night, May 22nd, only on Speed. Four-time champion Jimmy Johnson leads all active drivers with 5 victories on the Monster Mile. He swept last season. 12 drivers have won here from the pole, and the last driver to do that was Jimmy Johnson in last season's September race, and that was a big step towards securing his 4th consecutive championship. So now let's check in with the Chad Knaus, and get our Sunoco pit strategy of the week.
Well, guys, we're going from one great racetrack to another. We're in Dover, Delaware this weekend, the Monster Mile. This place is amazing. It's a very, very fast racetrack, and these guys really have to get everything they can out of their race cars. We can go about 80 to maybe about 85 laps on a Sunoco fuel run, but we're seeing a little bit different tire wear pattern than what we have here in the past. So 2 tires at this race may be a bit of an option if you don't go a full fuel run. Now, we don't see a lot of caution flags here until the end of the race. So you're going to see a lot of guys go a lap down, and that's really where some of that pit strategy is going to come into play towards the end of the event with the wave around flag and the short green flag runs at the end of the races that we've been having here as of late. But one thing that's always consistent at this racetrack is a lot of speed, a lot of action, and a very exciting finish.
Well, after the checkered flag is waved, be sure to check out NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco, and catch all of the race highlights in raw emotion straight from Victory Lane. Also, go to speedtv.com, keyword Sunoco, to enter for your chance to win an autographed flag signed by the winner of the race. Dover, Delaware is located on the St. Jones River in the Delaware River coastal plain. It was named by William Penn for Dover in Kent, England. And as of 2007, the city had an estimated population of 35,000. But today, that has grown by over 100,000 as race fans have come from all over the country to see racing on the Monster Mile. Well, it was once said on the silver screen that coffee is for closers. A lot of drivers this year have been running great and have had trouble closing the deal. Whether it be new rules or luck, it seems like a win is getting harder and harder for some veteran drivers to get.
And the leader at the white flag is Newman. Here they come! He got it! It's Harvick! He got it! He timed it perfect!
Watch that 18 as he goes down in the first turn.
Everybody wants the bottom.
The competition's really tight. I think it also shows what double file restarts and green white checkered finishes do to the sport. That on one hand they make it really exciting, but for somebody like myself, when we've had the dominant cars, the cautions didn't fall right.
I think the green-white checkered certainly shook up some stuff, no question. But you go back and watch the last 4 or 5 races. The fast cars have won them. I mean, maybe not the absolute fastest car, but cars that weren't running well didn't win the race. And no matter what, you still got to be able to go fast. But there are certainly some cases where the guy that led the most laps didn't win the race. But we see that a lot. I mean, this sport's been about that for a long time, and I don't know that it's a whole lot different. It is hard because you can't make any mistakes, and you've got other people that are trying not to make mistakes as well. And you got typically there's a lot of fast cars. There's not just 1 or 2 fast cars, and it's really competitive. There's a lot of good teams, a lot of good pit crews, a lot of good drivers. I mean everything. So it's you put that much talent in one place, and anybody makes a mistake, then that one person ain't gonna make it happen.
There's a lot of different ways to win races these days, and sometimes the fastest car wins, sometimes they don't. Last week when we had the 4 fresh tires and had the fast car, the caution didn't fall out where the previous races it did. So, I just believe that as good as our team is, as good as our cars are right now, we just keep doing what we're doing. Those wins are going to come, and those opportunities are going to fall our way. So we're not really getting too caught up in it right now.
Now, when you consider the rule changes of the last couple of years, the double file restarts and also the 3 attempts at the green-white checkers, you can't really sit here, guys, and say, oh, Jeff Gordon can't close the deal, it's him. Or Jeff Burton can't close the deal. You can't really say that because they're there and they're running great.
My belief is the reason it's so hard to win the Cup races this year is because you don't know when the race is going to end. It's exciting. You fans have got what you asked for. We got double file restarts, 3 attempts. I was talking to Kyle Petty earlier. Kyle, let's say you're at Michigan and we make 3 attempts.
Yeah.
That's 6 more miles of racing. You don't know
per
when
attempt. Per attempt.
Yeah, you don't know when the race is going to end.
Yeah, and I think the thing, we talk about the closers right now. I think that's a new stat in racing. I think we didn't used to have that. Now, the fastest car is not always won races in Cup Series racing, and everybody knows that. But it's almost a new stat where you get down to those green-white checkers. We've never had that type of race finish. It's been so rare, nobody paid any attention to it. Now it seems we have it every week. And when you look at it, the green-white checkered and the double file has totally changed that. So are these guys not closers, or are these guys closers that are beating them? So it's hard to tell whether you're saying Jeff can't close and Ryan Newman can. I'm not sure. Jeff's not been in that position yet.
And it's also more nowadays on the team than it ever has been before.
Oh, yeah.
Increasingly over the last couple of years, become more of a team sport. We have seen some simple mistakes, Kyle, kill some of these drivers. And the one that really comes to mind is the air hose incident. Well, Gordon, first of all, here with the mistake on the pit lane, which he took credit for.
Yeah, but here's what I like. We are seeing champion caliber drivers. Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton, Jimmy Johnson. The pressure has risen all the way to the top of the heap. These guys
Here's the air hose thing. Here's the air hose thing
Jeff
with
Burton with that. You've not seen Jimmy Johnson make mistakes. We saw Jimmy Johnson make mistakes at Talladega when he cut across the hood of the 16 car and a couple of those. We see Jeff make mistakes. He misses pit road. Jeff Gordon misses pit road. My God. You know what I mean? I kept waiting for something magical to happen or something. You look at these guys, so the pressure in this sport is so great to make the chase and be the champion. It's tough on the whole team.
And you look, let's go back to Phoenix. Kyle Busch is going to win Phoenix. He's got a straightaway lead, race fans. We're waiting for the white flag to come out. Boom, caution flag. His crew chief says 4 tires, 4 tires. The other drivers are like, we ain't taking no tires. Kyle Busch ends up running about 8. So that's how the sport has changed.
Yes, definitely. It is very high pressure around here. See, look what it did to me, the stress and the pressure. Let's take a look at the Nationwide Series race that happened yesterday, part of a triple-header weekend here at the Dover's Monster Mile. And Kyle Busch, as normally in the Nationwide Series, he led us to the green flag, and he ran out and started just dominating this thing from the beginning. But you can see we had a lot of racing left to go on a beautiful afternoon. Here was a late race restart where it looks as if Denny Hamlin gets into the back of Clint Boyer, and Clint Boyer says, this will not stand, this aggression, it will not stand.
Well, on Denny Hamlin's behalf, he went to turn left because the 21 car, if you watch tape, the 21 car spins his tires. Here's the retaliation, race fans, on your feet. Boom!
Man. I think it's got something to do with cars with ducks on them. You know what I mean? I mean, Atlanta here, I don't know what the deal is.
Kyle Busch wins, and he does some celebratory donuts after that and brings back that old orange uniform that looks so good on the racetrack as he wins that. Let's take a look at the points. After 11 of the 36 races in the Nationwide Series, we have Brad Keselowski leading the way with Kyle Busch close behind, and then Kevin Harvick not too far behind.
Look for Justin Allgaier to go Cup pretty soon. He's the only Nationwide driver that can run with these Cup teams.
Jason Leffler and Brian Scott round out your top 10. Now let's take a look at the Camping World Truck Series, and we've heard it so often. So often in NASCAR's 3 Top Series, the guy who leads the most laps doesn't necessarily win the race, and the only driver doing triple duty this weekend was Kyle Busch, and he led the most laps in this Truck Series race.
Yeah, but you can't lead a lap if you're out of gas.
That's true.
Okay, and that's what happens right here at the end of the race. He starts, then the 18's out of gas, and Eric was in the right place at the right time. And Eric had a car capable, or truck capable of winning the race. He'd run up front, so congratulations to him for his first big win.
Eric Amarillo was 2 laps down and came back to win this race.
Yes, that's a driver who has been up and down for so long right now, and it's a good thing to see him in victory lane. Let's take a look at the championship standings, and there he is sitting on top of those with Todd Bodine, Timothy Peters, and Ron Hornaday right behind him. And there we see some of the veterans sprinkled in with some of the newcomers to the Truck Series.
Good to see Ricky Carmichael, AMA Motocross champion, doing it now.
Doing it great, and he was on NASCAR Smarts and qualified 37th, and he said, maybe I can make something out of this, and he did.
It's being on NASCAR Smarts. It's like, staying at that certain hotel that makes you smarter.
It's just standing next to John Roberts. I think that's what it is.
That's
being next to John.
Friday, the world's toughest trucks take center stage during All-Star Week. Sparks will fly, metal will be crushed, and tempers cars will boil over. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Charlotte Friday night at 7:30 Eastern. It is only on Speed. A little bit more of Dover history when we come back. This is a good question for NASCAR Smarts. What driver started the farthest back in the field and won here at Dover? We will answer that among other questions when we come back.
He's made a home on the race day set. But 15 years ago, KP kicked his shoes off in Victory Lane here. We'll flash back to 95 when Kyle tamed the Monster Mile. Heading your way, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back to Dover International Speedway, where we are getting ready for 400 miles of high-speed, high-banked action. Anything can happen here at the Monster Mile. Last week, it was Denny Hamlin who took his third checkered flag of the year in Darlington. That's 3 out of the last 6 for Denny Hamlin, but keep in mind who else has 3 wins. It's Jimmy Johnson, who swept here last year at Dover. Can he make it 3 in a row? Jimmy Johnson's coming off of 3 DNFs already for 2010, and Martin Truex Jr. starts from the pole today. This is the last points race that he can race his way in to the All-Star race. Can he do it today? NASCAR Race Day is live from the Monster Mile. Hermie Sadler and myself are positioned right above Victory Lane. And Hermie, I can't help but notice a little bit cooler temps than we've had all weekend, and definitely overcast today. Yeah, a little bit cool, a little bit overcast, and how much difference could it make? That's when an experienced driver and an experienced crew chief with a big notebook, from here at Dover could come into play. But definitely this racetrack has been changing all weekend long. As we talked about earlier today, this new generation Goodyear tire really putting a lot of rubber down on this racetrack. So these cooler temperatures could be a factor, especially in the early going here today. And some of the biggest changes that we've had this week has been dealing with Brian Vickers, who was diagnosed having blood clots in his lungs and his legs. He was admitted to the hospital earlier this week. Now, yesterday, he was released from Walter Reed Medical Center and is at home resting. He is not here racing this weekend in Dover. Casey Mears is filling in for him. Yeah, and Casey's done a good job. That's a tough situation for a driver to fill in, for, first of all, a friend of yours, and you've got to, balance that line between wanting to just hold the seat warm for your friend, but also Casey is racing for a job. He wants to get back full-time in the Sprint Cup Series, and I've been following these guys this weekend. Casey's a good buddy of mine, and I think he's done a really good job of taking what the car will give him during qualifying and practice, and having enough confidence in himself, Wendy, to know that he doesn't have to go out there and qualify in the top 5. He doesn't have to be at the top of the speed charts all in practice. What matters is where is he at lap 400 today, and he's done a good job of just building through the weekend with this race team. And a very serious issue for Brian Vickers. We send him our well wishes from NASCAR Race Day. We hope to see him back soon. But a guy that has maybe some struggles for 2010, or maybe it's just putting the spoiler back on the race car, is Jimmy Johnson. He has 3 DNFs already this season. Ever since we put the spoiler back on, keep in mind it took him 89 races in the past to get 3 DNFs, and he's done it in only 11 races for 2010. So definitely some controversies around the 48 team. Does it mean anything or not? Who really knows? But if we take a look at points, we know one thing's for sure, Hermie. Jimmy Johnson is second in points still. Yeah, he's still got a great season going, and some of those wrecks Jimmy's been in, the spoiler or the wing, that kind of contact on the racetrack, that's not going to make any difference. And of course, another mover was Jeff Gordon, moving up 6 spots in 2 weeks. If we take a look on back beyond 10th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in the top 12. I know fans are happy to see that. And you look at Mark Martin in 10th, he needs to get consistently a little bit quicker. Dale Earnhardt Jr. barely hanging on, but he needs some more speed and consistency as well. And looking at Tony Stewart, Wendy, in 18th, this is one of the guys that we've had a hard time figuring out why he's so far this year not been able to build on the success of last season. I know, I think it's been a big shock to see Tony Stewart that deep in points right now. And if you looked at Brian Vickers, who was in 20th coming into this event, will not be racing today, and of course that's going to cause some trouble with his points going into the chase and his shots at a chase for the championship for Brian Vickers. But one guy, as we mentioned, Vickers, who we hope is doing well, but Kyle Petty. We got to talk about Kyle Petty, because this first concrete race here at Dover back in 1995, Kyle Petty was the man to get that race win. And what better way to look back than at our own friend Kyle Petty and his victory.
In 1995, the Monster Mile had a new look, and Kyle Petty was looking for a new spark. Freshly repaved with concrete, Dover Downs was ready for business. And the Son of the King was ready to end a 59-race winless streak. But tires became an issue after blistering during Friday practice and at the Busch race on Saturday.
So last night, they brought in all new tires.
So a rare Sunday morning practice was held to test those new tires. With Kyle Petty starting way back in 37th. Sometimes being in the back is better than being up front.
Oh, John Andretti's out. Ricky Craven is around. Everybody else is on the brakes. Oh, look at this parking lot.
Some dummy just run into the back of us and wrecked us again.
While avoiding the wreck, Kyle Petty restarted 20th and began his march to the front.
You talk about a guy that's on the move. That car is right on the bottom of the racetrack, coming out of the corner flawless.
Somehow, Petty ended up with an extra set of tires. But just as quickly as they got them, they were taken away.
What's the story on Kyle Petty's tires, Glenn?
Well, for a while, a miracle happened. They had none, then they had two, then they had six. Christmas came in June, and now the Grinch may come and steal Christmas from them.
Petty methodically worked his way to the front of the pack and had leader Jeff Gordon in his sights.
No traffic to be a factor. Kyle Petty back out front.
The number 42 led the last 42 and 217 laps overall.
They'll come off turn 4 for all the money.
Dead heat coming down for the flag.
It is a dead heat. Kyle Petty wins it.
No one had ever won from starting that deep before at Dover than Kyle Petty did that long summer day.
Kyle Petty has pulled in. He is very winded. He's getting a little oxygen right now. He got a big cold drink of water. But what a great day he has had.
And it doesn't seem like that was 1995. It was 15 years ago, Hermie, but nonetheless, a special win for our friend Kyle.
It really was, and that was the first race that this racetrack was on concrete. And a lot of people, a lot of unknowns obviously going into that race. And I remember that weekend, Goodyear, actually it changed the tire compound Sunday morning. They had a Sunday morning practice. Can you imagine as a driver or a crew chief having to get on the racetrack Sunday morning and run some practice laps? But Kyle Petty did it, and he ended up going to victory lane. And Kyle, every victory in Sprint Cup is a special event. What sticks out in your mind of your win here at Dover in 95?
I think my superior physical conditioning for that race. If you saw me in the
That's why you needed the oxygen.
Yeah, that's why I needed the oxygen. I'm kidding. No, I tell you what. You know what really stuck out more than anything else? It was Barry Dodson's birthday, who was a crew chief, a great friend of mine. He had lost 2 of his children in a tragic accident. But more importantly, the freak deal with the tires. You know, they came in that morning. We had a practice session. Who has a practice session the morning of a race? And we were so far out the lunch, qualified 37th. They come in with that new group of tires. We put them on the cars, and it's like, my God, this thing's perfect, man. We didn't change anything that morning in practice, and they had the wreck, and we had to fight a few guys and ended up winning the race.
Can I just got to butt in real quick? Hold on. In the highlight reel, he passed Jeff Gordon on the inside. You were the fastest car. Great win. Great win.
They were running that tape backwards. Most of the time it's Jeff going the other way, okay?
Good job,
but
Kyle.
But nonetheless, that was a great victory because Kyle had him covered up all day long. It's a great feeling to go out and lead all those laps, and that's exactly what KP did here on the Monster Mile. I want to remind you that tomorrow night, you can get your All-Star Week kicked off right with a special 1-hour edition of NASCAR Race Hub. NASCAR Race Hub is presented by Hooters Monday night at a new time, 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. We'll be back to NASCAR Race Day in a moment. Hey race fans, how would you like to have an official Sunoco racing fuel can? You can put it on your mantle at the house with your collector pistons. Visit speedtv.com/Sunoco for entry details, official rules, and drawing dates. And now it is time for us to take a look at our Sunoco Performance Pick standings. And we had a little bit of shuffling going on last week after a very interesting weekend. KP, of course, is still leading by a long shot. But a couple of people moved around and moved up a little bit. I'm not going to mention any names right now about who moved up or who moved
And
around.
yes, I suck.
Well, yeah.
Kenny Wallace is doing horrible.
Yes, Kenny Wallace is not doing good. But KP is the leader, so he leads us with his Sunoco Performance picks.
Okay, my picks this week are Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Paul Menard. Jimmy Johnson has 3 DNFs. It's time for a W. Wendy, who do you got?
Well, I am going with Denny Hamlin, A.J. Allmendinger, and Paul Menard. Now, A.J. has been, I think he's going to get the job done today, and plus his car looks pretty sweet today in Dover. I guess I'm going to throw to Johnny, who has passed Hermie.
Yes, you are. Yes, nothing like that Petty Blue. But we're going to shake things up a little bit here and not go with the big red truck, as we like to say. We're going to start out with Tony Stewart, the smoke will rise again today. And also the 31 of Jeff Burton, he will not be denied anymore. And also the 78 of Regan Smith. You know, Tony Stewart has raced 22 times at this racetrack, 2 victories and 10 top 5 finishes. The smoke will rise today, Hermie Sadler.
Well, pretty good picks, JR, but I need to get back up in these standings. I'm going with Jimmy Johnson as my A pick, Clint Boyer, my B pick, and Paul Menard, my C pick. Clint Boyer has 3 8th-place finishes here, and I looked at his car in practice. Looks really good right in the bottom of this racetrack. Kenny?
I am picking Kurt Busch in the number 2 car to win. I am picking Matt Kenseth for my B block, and I am picking David Stremming for my C block. But I want everybody to know that Matt Kenseth is my highlight. His real name is Matt the Brat Kenseth. He was nicknamed that back in Wisconsin when we was beating up on him. So I want to see some T-shirts. Matt the Brat. Matt the Brat.
Who gave you that top hat? The BP guys sent it from the Gulf of Mexico.
Canada.
They skate so hard.
I thought that top hat was what they were putting over the oil spill.
Hey, skate so hard for this organization.
I want him to get us the whack-a-mole thing so we can whack the driver's heads and they go back down like the carnival game.
Don't whack my hat.
Anyway, Kenny Wallace has brought back the hat. That's a good thing to see. Got to take a quick break here, but when we come back, much more NASCAR race day. And we want to remind you, if you're looking for a stock car fantasy game, log on to speedfantasyracing.com. Play in your own group or join the overall game for cash prizes. Register now for the new summer game and your chance to win $3,000. Now, this gentleman has won 3 of the last 6 races, and he is going to join us on NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot when we come back.
He may not be P1, but Denny's tied for the series lead in wins.
All we do is win. Proud of you, man.
We'll show you how Hamlin shot up the standings and whether or not his plan for world domination will succeed. Straight ahead, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
The Charlotte Motor Speedway is known for doing things in a big way, and it doesn't get much bigger than this. The U.S. Legend Cars $1 Million event is coming your way on July 15th through the 17th. This event will be on speed, and it has a chance for somebody to take home their share of $1 million purse. Visit uslegendcars.com for more information. And one guy who feels like $1 million right now has to be driver number 11, Denny Hamlin. In Atlanta, Hamlin was winless and 22nd in points. Now he has 3 wins and is riding 6 in points and getting ready to challenge for the championship.
Needs to go, 18 cars on the lead lap. You got 65 laps on those tires. I think tires are going to do it. What do you think? 10-4. Get 4 tires.
Just days before scheduled knee surgery, Denny Hamlin overcame tremendous pain and battled back from a 4-tire pit stop that dropped him from the lead all the way down to 9th late in the race.
Here comes Kansas, 3 wide to the bottom. Kansas to the inside, takes the lead. He's got a tire down. He goes to the outside and hits the wall, and Denny Hamlin takes the lead. Keep coming, all clear, all clear, all clear. Checkered flag set to fly. Unbelievable, it's Denny Hamlin heading for home.
It all worked out perfectly for Denny Hamlin. He scores his first win of the year here at Martinsville Speedway in the Goodies Fast Pain Relief 500.
As for all the people that doubt us, we're still going to get this thing done before the year's over with.
Then, after a 30th place finish at Phoenix, in which no relief driver was called upon, Denny hobbled into Texas and once again proved that rainy days and Mondays never get him down.
Denny Hamlin, of course, won at Martinsville, and he's only 19 days out of that surgery on his left knee, and that wasn't some little thing. This is major reconstructive surgery.
A late surge from the reigning champ gave Denny cause for worry.
Has Johnson got anything left? 6 car lengths, 5 car lengths. Denny Hamlin the leader. Jimmy Johnson is coming in a hurry.
But it was too little too late as the 11 took win number 2.
Denny Hamlin playing hurt here today at Texas Motor Speedway as the winner of the Samsung Mobile 500.
Texas, baby!
One more lap. That ending is different, but it's 334 laps, and Denny Hamlin hangs on.
That's the way you race right there. Good job.
I did it for the long run. I did it for the chase. I did it for the championship in the long run. So even though I knew I was going to sacrifice a month or so, that I knew once I came back I was going to be stronger.
Denny Hamlin
save the best for last. He comes back through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. A huge lead and looking for his first win in the Southern 500.
And with his third win in the last 6 races, Denny Hamlin is on the move.
Denny Hamlin completes the Darlington sweep this weekend, winning last night of the nationwide race and tonight winning the Showtime Southern 500.
Inching up another spot in the standings to 6th and tying Jimmy Johnson for the most victories so far.
All we do is win. Proud of you, man. Kept your head. Could have lost it today, but you did good. Proud of you, man.
Winning is certainly the best therapy.
I'd say it's certainly the best therapy. I would agree with that, winning. So, Denny, this is the way you really want your season to go. 3 wins in the last 7 races, 6th in points right now. Are you feeling better? How is the knee, first of all, and does that give you a little bit more boost of energy with the wins?
It always makes you feel better for sure, but you know, still working hard at it. I mean, it's whether we're winning or not, I'm still working at it all through the week, and doesn't affect me on race weekends, but more affects how the things I do during the week. So for me, it's winning is good therapy.
All right, now tell me about yesterday in the nationwide race. I just heard you left the drivers' meeting and you and Clint actually chuckled about what happened yesterday. So we don't have to worry about anything continuing today, right?
I have fun with it. Like I said, I don't take those races too seriously anymore. It's they're their own beast and own challenge in themselves, and we got enough challenge trying to make it around this racetrack today, 400 laps without wrecking.
All right, we just did our fantasy picks, and I picked you as the winner. So, oh, you did? Well, good. I'm glad you're watching us in the bus. So, can you back me up and gain me some points so I can pass Kyle?
Well, I mean, that's a pick that you don't normally see here at Dover is picking us, but we were pretty strong in practice, and we're just have to see where it goes. I mean, we haven't finished better than 22nd here, I think, in the last 2.5 years. So, we'll see what we got today. I don't know. It's conditions are a lot different. But our FedEx car was pretty good.
All right, I take those stats and I throw them out the window, so don't worry about them. I think Denny Hamlin's fast, and I think he's going to get a victory today, or I hope so, for fantasy picks. Hermie?
Well, thank you, Wendy. He's the driver, and Mike Ford is the crew chief. And Mike, a lot of confidence coming from Denny, recently. And I want to look back one more time at Phoenix, the first race that Denny came back after the knee surgery. It was a horrible night for you guys, but Denny stayed in that race car, and it seemed like it showed your whole team a side of Denny maybe you guys hadn't seen before.
Yeah, that was a difficult weekend, Hermie, and knowing that was facing what we were facing, leaving Martinsville, you're kind of on a high, and then you go to the lowest of lows, and it showed, Denny had some character to him. He was a team player, stayed in the whole day, didn't want to hand over a car that we were having problems with, so leaving there, was frustrating because you went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, but you knew you could build from there and come back. And then the following week we go to Texas and we're back on a high again. So kind of a roller coaster, but I think we've got that behind us and we're clicking along, moving forward.
I've heard Denny talk a lot about in recent weeks about looking ahead to the chase. Let's face it, everybody's looking at the 11 car as one of the teams to contend for this championship. You guys have talked about you cannot give up all these bonus points. Wins are very, very important as you go into the chase. Does that change the way you look at races when it comes down to it, knowing that, hey, we're pretty safe in the points right now if we keep it going, but winning races is really what we need right now?
Yeah, that's what keeps the doors open is winning races, so you always have to focus on that. But you look at the history where you've been strong, where you need to work, and Dover here has been a thorn in our side from the handling perspective and from the durability standpoint. So we've got a huge focus on Dover here to try and get our feet on the ground to find a good place for later in the year. But it does change how you look at things. If you're solid inside the points, you possibly will take a chance to get some bonus points. And if you got the best car, you try and protect that. But you will take shots that you wouldn't normally take.
Hey guys, I was talking to Mike Ford before we came on the air, and I said, "Your car pretty good?" And he says, "Yeah, car's really good, but I've had really good cars on Saturday in the past, and Sunday we were out to lunch. But look for these guys; they're on a roll. They've got a good foundation of what they're building on, and confidence and momentum are very important, and these guys have it."
Hermie, thanks a lot. That certainly can happen. What's good on Saturday isn't necessarily good on Sunday, but the people who make predictions don't necessarily know exactly what they're talking about. I'm not naming any names, but everybody was predicting towards last year that Denny Hamlin was going to be one of the guys to challenge Jimmy Johnson for the championship, and I think he has answered that question with the rise in points over the last 8 races.
Yeah, you know, towards the end of last year, I said Denny showed a lot of maturity in those last 10 races. And he was the guy without a couple of mistakes, I felt like could contend with the 48. I didn't think they showed up the first part of this year, and I said I didn't think they showed up. But here's the deal. Winner, OKP's got to have a crow dinner. Because I said once he had his knee surgery, that would take him out of the chase. Wrong. I was wrong, and I admit it. He had the knee surgery. It put him in the chase. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Jimmy Johnson wins 3 out of the first 6. He's won 3 out of the last 6. It's amazing what this team has done, and they're going to be a contender.
And now, Kenny, all the drivers are lining up for knee surgery.
Yeah, I want knee surgery too, make me a little better race car driver. But you know what, the way I look at it is in sports, we all want to predict. In other words, I want to predict who's going to win this, who's going to win that. In reality, race fans, let me go to Carl Edwards for a minute. He won 8 races 2 years ago. If you would have told me Carl Edwards would be winless like the last year and a half, I'd say you're crazy. So sometimes in sports, especially NASCAR, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I thought Jeff Gordon was going to win 3 races. I can tell you what right now, you know, it's like, duh, big red truck. Hey, yeah, Denny Hamlin's going to win it all. Well, duh. I mean, he's won like 3 out of like 6. So right now, we know Denny Hamlin is the man, but I don't know what the future beholds in any of this sport anymore.
Well, race fans, stay with us here on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. When we come back, we have an expert tour guide that's going to take us around one of the highest tech race shops in the Charlotte area. Stay with us.
He's one of the nicest guys in the garage, but does he have the shop to match? The Biff shows us around Roush Fenway for a tour of Jack's Deluxe Accommodations. Coming at you, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
One of the highlights of this weekend's race event was the Drive for Autism Awareness Golf Tournament at the DuPont Country Club. Fox director Artie Kempner and the local chapter of Autism Speaks puts on a great tournament every year. The stars of NASCAR come out and some very special children as well. Now that's deceiving. DW's golf swing looks awful ugly, but he still can hit the ball very well. And here's the best part. They raised about $500,000 for autism research, and that's surpassed any goal. And also this weekend at the Autism Speaks 400, you will see on several race cars the standard symbol for autism research, that puzzle piece, because it's such a puzzling disease amongst young people. That will be displayed prominently on many of the race cars in the Nationwide Series and also in the Sprint Cup Series as well. It was a great time for all the drivers and also for a great cause. Again, about $500,000 was raised among that. Now, if you want to get an inside look at some of the greatest race shops in the area, well, we got some experts to show you the way. This time, it's the Biff. Greg Biffle takes us on a tour of Roush Fenway Racing.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Roush Fenway headquarters. This is our museum/gift shop. Of course, this is what you'll see when you come visit. Front and center, the number 16 3M Ford Fusion. Of course, you can tell who Jack's favorite driver is by right when you walk in the door. Right over here, I don't know that everybody has one of these, but I thought you only got these when you were passed away. I'm still alive and I have one, so. Championship trophy. For those of you who keep in count, I have 2. And behind us, Matt Kenseth only has 1. Over here, Red Hot Chili Peppers. We took it for a little shop tour. They did a pit stop in our pit stop area. I think their time was like 4 minutes. We also have the 100th win for the Nationwide Series in Phoenix. This is the car I won in. And of course, we got the Biffle stuff in here. You know, it's all, I mean, it's all kind of about Biffle since I'm giving you the shop tour. So when you come in, it'll be like all Biffle, everything Biffle. I gotta head over to the pit stop area. I gotta go put my uniform on because we're filming a 3M Scotch Tough duct tape piece over at the pit stop area while the guys are doing practice today. So I'll meet you guys there. So here we are at our pit stop practice area, Roush Fenway. I've got my suit on just to be in the spirit today. No, actually we're shooting Scotch Top duct tape spot, and the guys are getting ready to do a pit stop right now. Last year, my team won the Tissot Pit Stop Pit Crew of the Year award. Pretty excited about that. Uh-oh. So there you have it. That was what, about 20 seconds, guys? 20 second stop or so, you know, maybe 12 seconds. All right, what's the pedal on the right do?
Don't say.
Really gonna make sure it's family friendly when you're riding. Hey, where you going?
All right, so I'm gonna go get out of this thing, and I'm not done with you guys. I'll see you at the shop in just a minute. All right, hey guys, there you are. Glad I'm out of the fire suit, in here in a little air conditioning, so welcome to Roush Fenway. This is the 16 shop. What you're seeing here is the winning car of the All-Star race, right here. You just didn't know it yet. Here's one of the guys' toolbox. That's what I like. I'm gonna steal this banana because I'm pretty damn hungry. A lot of the guys have pictures of their families. Just don't tell him that I got his banana out of his toolbox. We saw these guys earlier over doing some pit stops. Now they're over here doing their workout session. What do you got on there? Yeah, he's got 15 pounds on that. Oh, 51. Oh, I thought you was 15.
They'll help you lift that monster trophy on your head.
I know.
Last time, I struggled with that a little bit.
That trophy's heavy.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so thanks for coming and visiting Roush Fenway. And sorry you guys got to leave now, but I got to get back to doing something. One thing, before you leave, come check this out. I thought of something. All right, guys, so thanks for coming and seeing the digs at Roush Fenway. I got to get to Dover. See you there.
You stole the Cat in the Hat's hat. Jack's hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Thanks for taking us for a tour.
Yeah, it's we got a neat shop, and we encourage all the fans. You know, we know the Coca-Cola 600 and the All-Star race in town, so stop by and see Roush Fenway. But yeah, I got Jack's hat. I hope he wasn't watching this piece. I'm sure he was, or sure somebody will tell him.
All right, you have 2 wins at Dover. What's the key to getting around this place for today's race?
Well, you know, this racetrack's really tough. You know, the straightaways, you know, are banked and it's rough and it's concrete, so the track's slippery. A little bit different cloud condition, you know, weather than what we've seen all weekend. So my car's been a little bit tight on corner exit. I think just, you know, work on our car getting corner exit, and I think we'll be right in there. But this place is tough. I mean, when you finish the race here, you're as tired as you are anywhere, you know, mentally drained, physically, just because you have to be up on the wheel all day long.
All right, now the All-Star race next week. This is your last points race to race your way in, of course, the showdown, but you're giving money to charity, aren't you, if you get into the All-Star?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are doing that to, you know, to get voted in. We're gonna donate our money to the shelter we're building, Friends of the Animals, in South Iredell County off exit 31 Langtree. So we're really wanting to get that shelter built, and we're hoping to get in the All-Star. Hopefully we win today, but right. If not, we gotta get voted in.
We hope so too, and hopefully Jack Roush was watching, and he's gonna call you about that hat. Yeah. What do you think, Johnny?
I think that guy's finally now saying that's where my banana went. Biffle stole it anyway. We're going to take another quick break here on NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. But when we come back, we have a couple of drivers coming by to talk to us. One's a hometown favorite who's sitting on the pole, and the other one is the reigning Rookie of the Year. We'll be back.
Saturday, points get tossed aside as racing's best head home for a little bump and grind. Smoke rocked the competition last year. Who gets that check this time around? Speed's got you covered from green to checkered and beyond. Live from the All-Star Race, NASCAR Race Day.
This is a very special racetrack to Martin Truex Jr. Grew up in Mayetta, New Jersey, just down the road from here, and also scored his first and only Sprint Cup Series victory at this racetrack. He is now standing by with Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, kind of a homecoming weekend for Martin Truex, and good off to a good start on Friday, your 5th career pole, and I know you love coming here. You got your win here back in 2007.
Yeah, I sure do love it here. It's one of my favorite tracks, and good qualifying run on Friday. We've kind of struggled in qualifying this year, and so you know, that was a good step for us. But car was pretty good yesterday. We're pretty happy with the Napa Toyota, and you know, I think we just need to hopefully hang around up front all day and be around at the end.
And you're only 16 points out of the top 12. I know we're only halfway through as far as locking into the chase, but you guys have really got off to a very consistent start and put yourself in pretty good position so far.
Yeah, things have been going well. You know, we're happy with where we're at in the points. We've had a few races that hurt us, but the team's been doing a great job. We've come a long way, and I feel like we're starting to come together as a group. We're starting to find some things that are working for us. You know, we're starting to figure out the cars that they're building for us at MWR, and everybody's doing a great job. So just keep chipping away at it here, and we had a really fast car last weekend, didn't take advantage of it. Hopefully we'll have the same today and be around at the end.
And if you win this race today, you'll take care of another problem that's getting into the All-Star race. Now, I know you've been doing some videos on YouTube and this kind of stuff to try to get the fans involved for the voting you in for the All-Star race, but that's a cool deal to be a part of. You don't want to be sitting in this bus watching the All-Star race. You want to be in it.
Yeah, it's miserable to watch. Last year I was driving home, I think, listening to it on the radio from the racetrack. So we really want to be in it. Obviously, we hope we can win today. If not, we got 2 more chances. We got the Open and, of course, the fan vote. So sure would like to race our way in, but no matter what it takes, we want to be in that race. It's a whole lot of fun.
Well, Martin Truex, Johnny, starting up front at his favorite racetrack, and anytime you come to a racetrack you've won at, you got that extra little confidence. We'll see if Martin can bag that qualifying up and get to victory lane here at Dover.
That would be very popular with a lot of people around here, a lot of hometown fans up to see Martin Truex Jr. You know, another thing that makes that Saturday of the All-Star race so great is the Pennzoil Ultimate Victory Challenge. And here's some of the drivers you can see doing their best victory celebration. David Rudiman, Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has a lot of experience, Kyle Petty, in doing those burnouts.
So the Pennzoil Ultra Victory Challenge is the old burnout competition.
Well, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
I call it the Pennzoil Ultra Victory Challenge.
That's what you call it. Here are the judges: Steve Smith, Jimmy Spencer. What are the odds you say? I'd say those 2 names in the same sentence. Mr. Seidman, Jeff Hardy, Scott Stapp, and Mark Tremont. They will be the judges. And also, they were really scraping the bottom of the barrel to get somebody to host this thing.
Hey,
guess who they got to host it?
Is Mark Tremont, is that Gilligan?
Yeah, that's Bob Denver.
Yeah, that was Bob Denver.
That's Bob Denver. Well, they're going to use the 3 guys that have hosted this show.
Good.
Let's go to Wendy, who's standing by with our reigning Rookie of the Year, Joey Logano. Wendy?
And Joey Logano is learning to get around this place the last couple years at Dover. So tell us, Joey, what is the key with the Home Depot Hot Lap?
There's a lot here. It seems like landing into the corner here is a real big deal, trying to get your car to set right. That was one of the biggest things we worked on in practice, and this tire is quite a bit different than what we had last time here, so it kind of threw us for a loop. So I feel like we got the Home Depot Toyota pretty good and happy hour there, so I'm pretty pumped up about it. It's a tough racetrack, as everyone knows. I went for a heck of a ride last time, so plan on keeping all 4 tires on the ground today, and I think we have a good day.
Yeah, I saw the billboards for the racetrack, and of course I had your car flipping as the promo. Now, just a second ago, you saw your car about the Pennzoil Ultra Victory Challenge, where you guys are going to compete next week. Jimmy Spencer's your judge. So are you practicing? Can you practice today for us at Victory Lane?
I don't know if you can please Jimmy Spencer, is what I figured out. But besides that, no, I need to practice that. I think it's fun. If nothing else, I'll have fun doing burnout. So I think today would be a good time to practice that on front straightaway after bring her a win.
All right, well, good luck to Joey Logano. We know the Joe Gibbs Racing cars look strong here at Dover, and we'll be following him in that Victory Challenge come next week on NASCAR Race, or during, in between the All-Star race on race day, Johnny. I'll get it out.
Wendy, thanks a lot. That's certainly going to be a huge weekend for us here at Speed at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have all kinds of activities going on, and you can watch the Pennzoil Ultra Victory Challenge live on May 22nd as part of Speed's special edition of Race Day. 3 full hours for you leading up to one of the biggest nights in NASCAR, the All-Star Race.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by Tornadoes. Bold is how we roll. And by the new Ford Fiesta. It's a pretty big deal.
Welcome back, everyone, to Dover's Monster Mile. Today, the population of Dover, Delaware will triple in size because of all of the race fans that have come here to watch these drivers do battle on the Monster Mile. His name is Miles, and he's a rough old boy, and that's why Martin Truex was able to tame him, one of the hometown favorites here at Dover. But Brian Vickers will not be with us. He is recovering at home, and we wish Brian Vickers a speedy recovery as Casey Mears will fill in behind the wheel of his race car. Jimmy Johnson is in somewhat of a slump. 2 DNFs in the last 3 races and 3 total for the year, but a 3rd straight win at Dover may be just what the doctor ordered for the 48 team. Johnson won from the pole last time we raced here and swept both races last season on the Monster Mile. But right now, it is Denny Hamlin who is riding high after his 3rd win of the season last week in Darlington. NASCAR Race Day is coming your way live from the Dover International Speedway, and we are just minutes away from dropping the green flag here on the Monster Mile. Now, after 11 of the 36 races, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson are up top, but there is a big, ever-widening gap between Harvick and Jimmy Johnson.
But I mean, stop the presses, race fans. Jimmy Johnson all the way back to 2nd place. He's out of the chase.
Out. Jeff Gordon is definitely in the chase, and one of the good racetracks for him as well. Denny Hamlin, the Biff, Kurt Busch, Jeff Burton, and Mark Martin round out your top 10. No strangers up there to the top 10 in that list. But here's where things get a little bit more, well, dicey, if you will. Dale Earnhardt Jr. raced his way back into the top 12, and Martin Truex Jr. finds himself, Kyle, as the first driver outside looking in.
But you look at 12 or 13th, 14th, 15th. These guys, they're only 15, 20, 30 points out. We're 10 or 11 races into the season. They've got another 10 or 12 races to work themselves. It's incredibly close right now.
Let's jump back in the race car and take another hot lap around the Monster Mile. It is 1 mile of high-banked, high-speed concrete, and here we go racing with Denny Hamlin, one of the hottest guys on the circuit.
And once again, race fans, this is an elevation track, meaning, look here, you go uphill, 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 now you're flat. Now watch this, Kyle Petty, as you know. Downhill, elevation change, unbelievable at this racetrack.
Yeah, and it's like running on the side of a bowl. I mean, you can't stress how steep this place is. It's not like Daytona, it's not like Bristol, don't get me wrong. But constantly the car wants to pull to the left, pull to the left. It is a tough little racetrack, not only physically on the competitors, but mentally on the competitors because it's so fast.
And I urge everybody to watch this racetrack. It will start out white because it's concrete, and then those Goodyear tires will lay down rubber, and it'd just get black all day long.
And the one good part about this thing, when this place was asphalt, Harry Gant would go straight to the wall and just lap everybody. But this racetrack still is a multi-groove racetrack. That's what makes Dover so great. You'll get a guy that hooks on the bottom like Kyle Busch did yesterday in the Nationwide Series and just comes to the front. And you'll get guys that move to the top and come to the front. And that's where it gets interesting when they get to the corners.
Pit road can be treacherous here at Dover, but also you are only as good as your plan B on this racetrack. For more, let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, Johnny, looking back at the racetrack, 24 degrees of banking. Look at that orange square right there, right below the apron of the racetrack. That is the commitment line that you got to get off the racetrack and come down to pit road right there. Usually in the middle part of this race, a segment of green flag laps will come into play. You will have to make a green flag pit stop. Usually somebody will either slow down too much coming to pit road or miss pit road by trying to go too fast. Now, once you get your car on pit road, you come in, a very good qualifying run and a great pit box similar to what the 00 car has right here is a big benefit because look, these pit boxes are very, very narrow, very small, not a lot of working room for the driver or crew to make a mistake. So you got to get on pit road in a way that you pick up some time, not make mistakes, get your car in the box the right way, no mistakes on pit road. It'll take a combination of driver, crew chief, and crew to win today at Dover. Wendy?
Well, thank you, Hermie. Here's something that's unique about this racetrack at Dover. You are on pit road. I am behind pit road where the pit stops will take place over there. This is what's unique about this place. The race fans can actually get really close to the pit stops and the action here on pit road. They're lined up. They already have their lawn chairs. It's a perfect place to be to watch the race. And they line up all down here through pit road. This is a great view for the fans at Dover International Speedway and very unique. Not all fans get the opportunity at these racetracks to get this close to the action right here on pit road, where I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. Now, drivers, you would think that because gravity takes the cars from the high bank and pushes them down, that when there's a wreck in front of you, the first thing you could do is go to the high side. But that's not necessarily always the case. We've seen some guys get in a lot of trouble doing that.
It's called L-U-C-K. You have to be lucky at this racetrack. They're going high, they're going low. You don't know where to go. But race fans, I was really impressed with yesterday's crowd for the NASCAR Nationwide race. I just want to give an attaboy. You race fans are not letting this sport die. You're shooting it to the top. I look for standing room only today, Kyle. Good crowds lately.
Good crowd, and you're going to have a good race at Dover. I don't care. You know, it's just like they said. You're going to have somebody that jumps out front and laps a lot of people. But being a lap down at Dover with the lucky dog and the way things are and getting that track position a little bit is not a bad thing. Pit road is critical. We heard those guys talk about it. You know, I'm going to say something here from on Wendy's comments. I always said tear that bank down and give the teams plenty of room. This is the tightest pit road. Somebody's going to run into somebody on pit road today and all but take themselves out of the race.
And race fans, we're excited about next week. Everything's going to be on Speed TV. I can't wait to see you all in Charlotte. 2 weeks of Speed Weeks in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hometown favorite Martin Truex Jr. will lead us to the green flag today, and he could have a chance at getting his second series win here at the Dover Monster Mile in front of his hometown crowd. Thanks for coming along for the ride, everybody. Be sure to join us tonight at 8 for NASCAR Victory Lane, fueled by Sunoco. Fasten those seatbelts. We're going racing.